Let's talk about some piano greats. Solo piano is not a common form of jazz. Jazz usually is in the form of trios or ensembles or jazz bands or even orchestras. Jazz means playing well with others. Certain names, however, really float to the top when you talk about jazz pianists. Art Tatum was a blind pianist in the bebop era. He's still the #1 jazz mentor for jazz pianists. He was an incredible technician, which means he was kind of like the Franz Liszt of jazz performers. His friend Oscar Peterson was nervous about playing in front of him. Every jazz pianist has a mentor. Every musician has different kinds of mentors. Who is your jazz mentor, or who is your mentor with piano playing? With Art Tatum, one of his mentors was his own student. Her name was Dorothy Donegan, and she was able to really, really master technique, but she also was a good reader and played concert materials. Look her up sometime, Dorothy Donegan. Bud Powell floats to the top. He was a bebop jazz pianist. He played with Thelonious Monk. Horace Silver is an amazing, amazing hard bop player, and he had a great sense of humor, so you can hear a lot of humor in his playing. McCoy Tyner, I relate to because I'm left-handed. McCoy Tyner was left-handed, and he often broke piano strings, which is hard to conceive of. I've never broken a piano string in my life, so that's real power of that left hand. I love an old story about Fats Waller. He was in the era of piano swing and stride. And one time when he was done with a gig, he came out and he was kidnapped by some thugs and thrown into the back seat of a car by gunpoint and taken to the birthday party of Al Capone. Can you imagine? Anyway, by gunpoint, he was forced to play at this party, and he emerged 3 days later with a lot of money in his pocket and maybe a little bit too much alcohol. So these piano greats tend to fall in 3 categories: masterful technicians, creative improvisers, and great composers. Of course, each one was a mix of those 3 things, but it's a nice way to kind of look at this. I'm going to play a little bit of a piece called Tribute to Tatum. It's a tribute. It doesn't necessarily sound exactly like Tatum, so you should look up Tatum on YouTube and listen to him yourself. This gets us going with improvising with 16ths, which I'll talk to you about. On from there. Now, what you want to get used to if you want to become a good technician is how to play with 16ths against eighths and working your triplets in with your eighths, etc. Sometimes it's overload for your hands and for your brain. So the easiest thing is to take a pattern out of a piece and use it as your backdrop, and then stop it on a whole note so that your right hand has a time to improvise and catch up. Something like that. When you get comfortable with that, by the way, my right hand is in the D Dorian mode, all white notes. The left hand is just using that pattern from the piece. When you get comfortable, keep it going. So have fun with that, and I'll see you next time.